Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my April wrap up. This month I read 20 books. There's a mixture of fantasy, romance, thriller. I have some backlists, I have some new releases, and I also have some advanced copies that haven't come out yet. So I have like a pretty well-rounded list and I'm excited to talk about them. Since I do have quite a bit on this list, I think it's best if we just get going. Okay, so the first book I have is Book Lovers, and this one I just snuck in on the last day of April and I gave this one 5 stars. Right? I've seen that a lot over time, that it is just people's like least favorite Emily Henry, so I was really nervous to pick it up, but I think it's actually like my favorite Emily Henry. My favorite before was Beach Read, and then after Funny Story, which I read also in April, I'll talk about that after, I think Beach Read and Funny Story were tied for first, but now I think my favorite is Book Lovers, and then tied for second is Beach Read and Funny Story. I don't know why, I loved this one so much. I think a big part of why I love this one is because there's such a focus on books, because Nora and the love interest Charlie both work in publishing in different areas. Nora is an agent and Charlie is an editor, and so the book industry was just such a large part of this. Also, Nora wasn't like a happy-go-lucky kind of like, you know, just super positive person, which I really liked about her. Like, she wasn't just like super peppy, and yeah, I really liked how she was like sarcastic and kind of sassy and not like negative, but just, I don't know. So I don't know what this says about me, but I just really like this one. So the next one is a romantasy called The Veiled Kingdom, and this one I really loved, but it is simply like not a good book, but I really loved it. Like, it was very entertaining. I read it basically like in a day, and like I couldn't put it down. But this one is like objectively just like not a great book, like, but it was addicting. So this one I gave 4.5 stars. We have Nira, and she is like a princess, but she's treated really badly by the king, her dad, and she's kind of like locked away her whole life. And then she escapes, and she's kind of then taken captive by like this whole rebel alliance thing. So she's kind of taken in by them, and she has to make a choice whether she joins the rebels or if she goes back to like her tyrant father king. And there's like a romance between like the rebel leader's son. Will they, won't they? I really liked it. There is a sequel coming out soon, I think in June, and I'm very excited for it. But like, I wouldn't say this is like a good book, but it is very addicting. And if you like romantasy, you would probably enjoy this. Another one that I read is A Clock Stopped Dead. It's the third in a cozy mystery series, so I'm not gonna like go into the synopsis of this one specifically. The first one is called A Spoonful of Murder, and it involves Liz, Pat, and Thelma, and they're like retired English school teachers. They're kind of like put themselves in everyone's business, and then of course, since it's a cozy mystery, there's like a weird amount of like murders that happen around them and in this like small English countryside village, and they always like put themselves in the business of like wanting to find out what happened and like trying to like be amateur sleuths. This one I gave 3 stars because it was just really slow, kind of boring. It was funny at times and I did keep going with it, but I didn't love it. If there is a 4th one in the series, I'll definitely pick it up, but I wasn't like in love with this one, and I didn't like it as much as I did the first and the second. Another one that I read is Bookshops and Bonedust, and this one I gave 4.5 stars. This is the prequel to Legends and Lattes, and this one was so cute. I didn't like it as much as I liked Legends and Lattes, but it was still like very cute and I really liked it. Obviously I gave it 4.5 stars. So this one we still have our main character Viv, who is an orc, and in Legends and Lattes she's retired. Like, she is fully retired from her life as like an orc who goes on these like missions for money and like pillages. I don't really know. In this one she is injured, so when she's injured she has to like stay in the small town. She has to recuperate while her like party has to keep going, and they'll come back for her later on once like their mission is done. So she's recuperating, she's seeing the doctor, she's trying to get better. She's really bad at like sitting still, so like it's taking way too long. She befriends the owner of like kind of a failing bookshop and a bakery, and you just kind of see how she interacts with everyone and how she can turn some stuff around. It's really cute. It is very low stakes. Like, if you are not into this, like, you will be bored and you will not like it. But if you're into cozy fantasy, like, this is just like a go-to for a lot of people, and I really loved it. The next one I read is Powerless, and this one I gave 4.25 stars, and this one was good. It was very much like Hunger Games, but like not, but it was very much like Hunger Games. But in this one you have like the hierarchy in society. There's like the kingdom with like the elites with power, and then there's people in the slums. There's like the ordinaries, which are people that don't have magic. I think years ago they were all like killed off. In this there are like trials, like a game kind of thing that lasts like a few weeks or like a month or something, maybe more than a month. And she is enrolled in it and she has to go stay at the palace during this whole time, and she starts to befriend the two princes. The trials like are also really interesting to read about, and like the last like third was so good. It was just like, wait, like it took like a major turn, and I really like this one. And there's a novella that came out, and then there's a sequel that's coming out, and I'm very excited to read both. Another one that I read is The Age of Magical Overthinking by Amanda Montell, and this is the author of Cultish. This one I gave 4 stars, and it was really interesting. This one is nonfiction, and so I'm just gonna briefly like read a bit off my phone from Goodreads. It says, a delicious blend of cultural criticism and personal narrative that explores our cognitive biases and the power, disadvantages, and the highlights of magical thinking. Montell delves into a cornucopia of the cognitive biases that run rampant in our brains, from how the halo effect cultivates worship and hatred of larger-than-life celebrities to how the sunk cost fallacy can keep us in detrimental relationships long after we've realized they're not serving us. I really like this one. I found it super interesting. I found it super entertaining and funny at times. It was sad at times, and I just really liked it. Another one that I read is House of Salt and Sorrows, and this one I gave 4 stars. It reads very much like a dark gothic fairy tale. It was definitely kind of spooky to read at night, even though it is YA. We have Annalee, and she lives in like her manor with her family on Highmoor, which is like an island, and they're pretty secluded, but her dad's a duke, and she had 12 sisters at one point. Her mom died in childbirth, and now she's only down to 8 sisters, and so all the townspeople say that like the family's cursed, and there's like a lot of creepy things that are happening. I don't really want to say too much more. I think going into this knowing as little as possible is like the way to go. I also think if I said much more, it could be almost like leaning into spoiler territory. So I think just going into this knowing just like what I said is probably the best bet. I am reading the sequel right now, which is House of Roots and Ruin. It's a lot longer than House of Salt and Sorrow, and I am not really liking it. I don't even know if I'll finish it, to be honest. But this one I gave 4 stars, and I would really highly recommend it. Another one that I read is Otherworldly, and this one I gave 4.25 stars. This one is YA, and it's adorable. This one is more of like an urban fantasy. I was gonna say magical realism, but it's definitely more like urban fantasy. We have our main character Ellery, and they are kind of like a non-believer in this region where everyone believes in like the supernatural and the gods and goddesses, and they're just having like none of it. They don't believe in any of that. They live like on a farm, and it's doing like really poorly because their region has been in a really brutal winter for 5 years, so the farm is like failing. They moved to the city at, I think they're 16, to live with their older cousin to work for the summer and for the summer like months. And then they meet Knox, who is a familiar from the other world, and Ellery's mind is like blown, and everything is just kind of like totally turned upside down for them. It's really, really cute. It's so heartwarming. I absolutely love this one. You can kind of tell by the cover just like how heartwarming this is, and it's also just like a beautiful cover, like absolutely stunning. I just love this one, and now that I'm talking about it, I think I might bump it up to like 4.5 stars. The one that I read is Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands, and this one I gave 4.5 stars. I absolutely love this one. This is the sequel to Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, which I loved. I gave it 5 stars. This one I didn't love quite as much, and I gave it 4.5 stars, but I still loved it. It didn't give quite as much of like the cozy vibes as the first one. We still got to see Emily and Wendell. We got more of a deep dive into like Wendell's past and like where he comes from. I'm not going to say the synopsis for this one, but for Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, it's like magical realism. She works at Cambridge, and she's a dryadologist, I think. And in this world, there's like fae, there's creatures, there's fae of all different kinds. There's also like hierarchies of different kind of fae. There's like all these different creatures. She does field studies, so she goes and studies them. So in that one, she goes to this little village, and she's studying the kind of creatures they have like in the woods there. A bunch of stuff unfolds, and it's just like super heartwarming and cozy. Okay, one that I finally finished is Zodiac Academy 6. I'm so proud of myself because for some reason this took me forever to finish. And like we were talking, I think I started this like in 2023, and it's not like the length that made it. It was just, I don't know, I just kept putting it off. It was stressing me. I know why. It was because it was stressing me out. It was stressing me out too much, and I just couldn't handle it. So I finally just like pushed myself and got past it and finished it, and I loved it. I'm so glad I got to finish it and like see what happened. Obsessed. I'm not gonna go on about this just because I have put this on so many TBRs, so I'm not even gonna like talk about this. Okay, I'll briefly mention it, but basically there's these 2 twins. They were like at birth, they were taken by their fae parents, and they were raised in the mortal world. Then when they turn like 18, they're brought back into the Fae world and find out their royalty, and then they have to go to this academy, which is like their university. And then it kind of goes from there. There's like a bunch of politics, there's like different creatures, etc. So anyway, this is number 6. Number 9 just came out, and I think 9 is the final one. And I'm now on to number 7. I'm absolutely loving that one. So yeah, finally done this one, and I'm very happy I am. I also read Very Bad Company. It's a drama thriller, more on the drama side. I enjoyed it. I didn't love it. It was pretty slow. It kind of felt like purposeless almost. Like I was just kind of like, why are we doing this? The author also wrote Bad Summer People, which I read last year and loved. So I was really excited for this one, and I was just kind of like not in love with this one. So I gave it 3.25 stars. It involves like a super trendy, popular tech startup. The executives go on this work retreat. There's like a bunch of corruption, sketchy stuff happening. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't love it. It was okay. It was fine. So yeah, that's Very Bad Company. I also read Nosy Neighbors, and this is like a cozy mystery set in like a small English village. It's dual POV. We get 25-year-old Kat and 77-year-old Dorothy. They live in this like very small apartment building that's been around for like ever. It's this crumbling building, very special to the tenants, especially Dorothy. She's been there for like 40 years, I think it is, and the building is facing demolition. They want to just knock it down and build like a whole new set of apartments there. Kat had only recently moved into the building as like a roommate because she needed a place to stay. She moved to this little village for reasons unknown to us at the time. Dorothy also is like the super cantankerous older woman. Don't know like her reasonings for being so grumpy all the time, other than, you know, just like being a grumpy old lady. Everything kind of unfolds. It's a cozy mystery. It's also very much like a drama. Yeah, like there's a lot going on. There's definitely like a lot of emotional part. There's definitely like more depth to it. I read If Something Happens to Me by Alex Finlay, and I gave this one 3.5 stars. So this one I am not really going to explain the synopsis at all because it's just so convoluted. There's so much going on. If you want to read about it, like definitely check Goodreads, but I would recommend like not really knowing anything other than like our main character Ryan experienced something like traumatic. When he was 18, his girlfriend was yanked out of the car and has been missing ever since. And then it's like flash forward, he's in his last year of law school, and then it kind of just goes from there. There's a lot going on in this. It was really interesting. It was pretty good. It was definitely slow at times. I definitely felt like there was some unnecessary filler. This would definitely make like a very good action thrillery movie starring Liam Neeson. Okay, I'm gonna go kind of fast just because I'm like taking forever doing this, but I also read Part of Your World, and I gave this one 5 stars. This one comes before Yours Truly, which I already read, and it's the first in like the So Far trilogy that is Yours Truly and then Just for the Summer. This one is very cute. We have like a big city girl, she's a surgeon, and then the small town like carpenter. She's like conflicted, like she doesn't know what she wants. She has obligations. She's very confused. She doesn't know what to do, and yeah, I really love this one. I like happy sobbed near the end, and it was just so heartwarming and so good. I love this one. I read The Reappearance of Rachel Price, and this one I gave 4 stars. This is a YA thriller by Holly Jackson, who did A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This one was pretty good. It was definitely like very entertaining and like fast paced. It would probably get someone out of a reading slump. So we have a main character, Belle, and I think she's 17 or 18, and her mom, Rachel Price, has been missing for 16 years. She went missing when Belle was like 1 or 2 years old. A documentary is starting to be made about her, and so everything kind of is getting stirred up. The family is like fully involved in this documentary, and so the crew's always around, and then a bunch of stuff unfolds. It's very dramatic. It's definitely very tense. It's very fast-paced, and I really liked it. I also read The Unwedding, and this one I gave 3 stars. I would actually probably knock it down to 2. I really didn't like it, and I don't remember anything about it. I don't recommend it at all. I don't really like it. It was like this wedding at like a secluded resort. Some people end up dead. I don't know. I don't recommend it. I didn't like it at all. I also read American Black Widow by Gregg Olsen, and this is a true crime nonfiction about Sharon, who is kind of like a black widow. She's gone through a few marriages and divorces. Her husbands are winding up in like precarious situations. Drama and issues kind of follow her everywhere. And if you like true crime, I would definitely give this a go. It's not dry at all. The way it's written is not boring. It's almost written like a novel. I read Everyone Is Watching, which I gave 4.25 stars, and this one I really liked. It was like a reality show setting, Big Brother style, at like a house. You weren't allowed to leave. There was a few contestants. They were gonna win like a couple $1,000,000, like maybe $10 million even. There was games, but a lot of them were like really dangerous. There's a lot of like stuff that we don't know that we're slowly finding out as the contestants are finding it out, which I really like in thrillers, when you're really finding out as the characters find out. But we also know other things like before they find out. So this one was a really fun one to read. I also read She's Not Sorry, and this was by Mary Kubica, and this one I gave 4 stars. This one is about an ICU nurse who gets a little too close to a patient and her family. She starts receiving like threatening notes, and she's getting like really paranoid. Her patient is in a coma. She takes it upon herself to try and figure out what happened, because originally everyone thinks that the patient like jumped, but she's wondering like, wait, was she pushed? So she's kind of trying to figure out what happened, and there's like a bunch of creepy stuff happening. Again, she's getting way too close to the family and the patient. She's getting way too involved. She's also getting these threatening notes, and it's just very creepy. And like so many other people, I also read Funny Story by Emily Henry, and this one I absolutely love. We have Daphne and Miles, and right at the beginning, Daphne's engaged, Miles has a girlfriend. Daphne's fiance is best friends with Miles' girlfriend. They're like childhood best friends. And right at the beginning, Daphne's fiance comes home from his bachelor party and tells Daphne that he wants to break up with her, and he's getting together with Miles' girlfriend. So they both end up single, and Daphne has to move out. Miles' girlfriend moves out, so Daphne ends up being roommates with Miles. They're both super unhappy and sad. They have to kind of figure out how to navigate heartbreak. Neither of them are really happy in this situation, and it's really cute. It's heartwarming. It is funny. Funny story. And like I said at the beginning of the video, it's definitely tied with Beach Read for like my second favorite. It was tied for my favorite with Beach Read until I read Book Lovers at the end of April, but I really love this one so much. Okay, so I think those are all my April books. I had to rush the last couple, but I'm really happy with the books I read in April. I enjoyed a lot of the books that I read. I like that I read a wide range of genres, including some nonfiction. I've been wanting to get some more of that in there, and I'm really glad that I did finally do that instead of just saying it all the time. We're only 4 days into May, but I'm happy with the ones that I'm reading so far. So yeah, I will see you guys again soon. Bye.